So today's hot sheet, I'm discussing inventory topping a big number. This is a milestone number. It's the first time since the winter of 2019 this has happened. Cotality's home price insight report for June and weekly unemployment data. Today is Thursday, June 5, 2025. I'm Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Live from Naples, Florida, back down in my Naples studio, looking to see where all of you guys are tuning in from today. Let me know in the live chat which market you're tuning in from. Today at noon, so less than 3 hours from right now, I'll be doing a live webinar. This is open to the public, so BAMX member or not, live webinar at noon Eastern. I've got 3 exact scripts, frameworks that you can use for specific seller leads. Everybody wants to control the inventory in their market. You do that through the listings. That's an obvious statement. So if you want the scripting on how to use data, I've invited PropStream into the webinar. They're going to show you exactly how you pull this data. I've asked them to pull, and I'm going to walk through the scripting on these 3 specific lead sources that are all relevant today to get listings in this atmosphere. So that's noon Eastern. The exact script framework for 3 seller lead sources. The link's down below. Haley's dropped it down. Whether you're a BAMX member or not, this one's open to the public. BAM, free public webinar down below, noon Eastern today. So join me on that. All right. Realtor.com put out their May 2025 monthly housing market trends report. This is robust. We go through inventory every Monday. This one, to me, Altos does a great job. Every Monday we get that update, but this one with Realtor.com, to me, it's so in depth. I love Danielle Hale, chief economist there. Danielle, Jake Krimmel, Sabrina from the team. There's multiple team members put this thing together. It's huge. Goes through the data, the housing demand, housing supply, market outlook. They do a great job. But they're looking at inventory a different way than when we take Altos on Monday. There's one way to look at inventory, and this is a whole nother metric, and they've identified a milestone number, one of those numbers that we want to get to if we want to start talking about a healthy market, if we want to start talking about health in terms of inventory levels, not something where every home's got 20, 30 offers. I know we're far away from that in most markets, but just a normalized market, something that starts. This is one of those numbers. We're not there yet because the demand and the affordability is still holding us back. But one of those inventory numbers, it's a milestone number. Realtor.com, they're saying, hey, we've hit it. We're now past that number. By the way, Realtor.com CEO Damian Eales, he'll be on Knowledge Brokers podcast tomorrow, separate channel, Knowledge Brokers pod. Check that out. It's going to be very insightful. Realtor.com hasn't come out with their position as other portals have on some of the industry, debates that have been going on. We're going to ask Damian directly about that tomorrow. So if you're interested, Knowledge Brokers pod with Damian Eales, CEO. Okay, what's the milestone number on inventory that Realtor.com is saying that has now been hit? Okay, this is the May report. So we're in it now. We're on the other side of now 1 million homes for sale. So the number of homes for sale topped 1 million for the first time since winter 2019. Now, if you're listening closely to our Monday updates, you're like, wait a minute. I thought we were 800,000. That's active single family listings according to Altos research. Realtor.com, a portal pulling data different ways. And when they do homes for sale topping 1 million, they're adding in all listings. Okay. So this active listing count for Realtor.com is going to include co-ops and condos and these types of things. When we're looking at the Altos data, that's single family. Okay. So 2 different ways to look at it. This million number This is more in line with the NAR number, right? This is, historically you should have over 1 million active listings. Well, we hit that number in May 2025, 1,036. It's a 31.5% year over year jump on active listings. That's very similar. Remember, if you're a BAMX member, you know where to find this stuff. But remember, you go back and I post this stuff just go into the classroom for hot sheet every single day that we do the hot sheet. You get access to this. We go back to what was Monday, the 2nd. Yeah, we go back to Monday and we look Altos. This is single family inventory. Now 33% more than last year. So the numbers between what we're seeing on Altos for single family and what we're looking at here for active listing, all listings, realtor.com, they're both similar. 33% on single family up year over year, 31.5% on active listing count. So we're seeing a lot of similarities when you take all listings, active listing count versus just single family, up now over 1 million on active listing. And same as we look at the chart inside of that I dropped on Monday inside of BAMX. By the way, these charts will be in BAMX for you for members. Just jump into school and grab them if you want to use them in your content. But the active listing count overall, very similar, just like the one we looked at with single family, to approaching normal times. 2018, 2019, life was normal. Okay. Outside of the government still spending all of your money, now they just want to spend at ridiculous levels. If we could get back to 2019 levels, that would be something, wouldn't it? But normal times in terms of a real estate market, 2018, 2019, we're getting there on inventory. You see the same thing when you look at where we're at on single family. Okay, this is 2019. I mentioned on Monday, hey, when we get into the fall, we're going to be at 2019 levels on single family inventory. How far have we come from March of 2022? It's unbelievable. This is when Logan Motoshami called the housing market savagely unhealthy. And we're now at a place where inventory wise, we're looking pretty healthy. We're going to be back to 2018, 2019 levels at the end of the summer. This summer is going to expose how much pent up demand there really is. I've been saying it now for months. The pent up demand is at a certain price point. You just can't keep pouring $700,000 homes into the market and think they're going to get absorbed up. Okay. So now you're seeing inventory climb for that reason. Affordability is a big concern. When you look at home builders, they're able to sell, but they're at 6% interest rates. We get active existing homes down to 6%. We need the 30-year fix. Had a good day yesterday to cooperate. You'll see some things open back up slowly. Okay, so active listing count up 31.5% per realtor.com. The million mark has been hit. This is a milestone number. Okay, it's a meaningful number in terms of where we're at on this recovery and inventory. If you look at total listing count, we're now up over 1.5 million. This includes pending sales, according to realtor.com, includes total listings. So single family, condo, everything's all bunched in here. Up 20.8% year over year on total listings. That includes your pendings. Okay. So add about 500,000 on top of the active count for total listing count. We're very close to 2018, 2019 levels on this metric as well. If inventory continues to climb, could again come end of summer, beginning of fall, could be getting in line with some of those years. When you look at inventory being up, you got to consider, okay, all this talk about pent up demand, pending home sales should be up because inventory is up. Well, it's been more subdued, says realtor.com. Pending home sales, or listings under contract, in escrow, however you want to say it. That according to RDC, they're down 2.5% year over year, and it's similar to April's 2.6% drop. So you're not getting, just because inventory, you're not getting the absorption on this 7 million homes short to meet buyer demand. It's a ridiculous number. It's been ridiculous for months. It's all about what they're priced at, and that number right there kind of highlights that. Newly listed homes, new listings, they're up 7.2% from May. April was up 9.2%, so a little bit of a decline there. But again, doing better than recent years, 23, 24. We weren't at these levels. And so, getting back to a more healthy time, still not where we would expect to be. I mean, look at 2019 on newly listed homes year over year, big difference. So you still do have a pent up seller, waiting for that interest rate. And until the interest rate goes down, that's when we'll see transaction count go up, because you'll see this newly listed home come on the market. Those sellers are buyers. They're also shopping. And it'll be interesting to see when it all happens, what happens to prices initially, and do they have an initial kind of like stabilization, maybe even a short-term 60-day drop when there's a burst of inventory and those sellers are trying to figure out how to become a buyer and match it all up. And then as more buyers enter the market, obviously, if more buyers do enter the market, what can happen with pricing there? But we're not there yet. We're not at a sustained level of 6%. And we had a good day yesterday. Maybe we get one today with the job data. I'm going to go through the unemployment data here in a second. But we're still nowhere close to being, consistently at a 7% or a 6% level. We're more consistently been at the 7% level. Housing inventory growing the fastest. Well, it's happening in the West. Okay. It's 40.7% up in the West. South is up 32.9%, Midwest up 22.9%, and the Northeast lagging at 19% housing inventory. So you're starting to see in the Northeast, this number catch up. It was pretty low here. I mean, it's still low, relatively speaking, but pretty low just, 6 months ago. And now starting to, catch back up a little bit. If you look at the metros here, where out of the 50 largest metros, where had the largest year-over-year growth on inventory? It's DC. You obviously have, some relocation going on there. Some people, their party's no longer in control. They're moving out. New party members are moving, whatever, layoffs, whatever. It's 75.6% in Washington, D.C. on inventory. By the way, a lot of those people moving out now probably going to move back in 4 years. So that's a local dynamic thing. Vegas 66.8. So Vegas now starting to reflect, some of, you saw Vegas really low last year. So they're coming from a low level. But this is what in a changing environment, this is more normal of what you would expect from a Vegas. San Diego up 66.4%, again, coming from a low level there. DC coming from a low level. So these are all things you would expect. Where's inventory recovered? Well, it hasn't recovered in the Northeast. You see levels below pre-pandemic throughout the Northeast, even DC, right? Like, I mean, DC to have this pop right now, well, you're still not what you're seeing in Tampa or Southwest Florida or Texas or California. You're not even close. So the Northeast, the Midwest, they're still below pre-pandemic levels. And generally speaking, the rest of the country is in a buyer's market, and they're above pre-pandemic levels in the percent change in active listings. Here are 3 metros that just haven't recovered. Hartford, it's insane. I know a lot about that market, and this is a true number. This is not Realtor.com didn't make this up. 70+%, 75+% below pre-pandemic levels. A couple reasons for that. If you're like, what the heck is going on in Hartford? Connecticut doesn't build homes. They bring 2,000 homes online a year. I'm sitting in Naples. That's a weekend in Naples for these builders. Okay. Can't figure out how to build in that state. And then you're kind of sandwiched between Boston, New York, and, Connecticut's a deal if you're looking at those two cities. And so you've got people trying to buy in Connecticut to avoid the prices of Mass and New York. Chicago down 59.3%. Chicago's had a serious recovery from where they were. Think about where they were in 2021. Chicago now down 59.3% on active inventory from pre-pandemic levels. Virginia Beach down 56.7%. Little Old Bay seasoning on the crabs, nothing like that down to Virginia Beach. New construction. Does this explain the inventory recovery? Certainly, if you look at Hartford, lowest level of construction out of all these regions. So I mentioned it, 2,000 homes online. That's nothing to spit in the bucket for $3.65 million in that state. You don't build in Hartford. You're not building enough. I mean, New York City, you think they're building, but not enough. Boston, so low levels of construction, and it impacts active listing account. Where do they build? Austin, Nashville. Shout out to Gary Ashton. I think I saw him in the chat, right? He's got the intel. Houston. These are the places that are building, and then they're above. Their active listing account is above pre-pandemic levels. Okay, so who would have figured when you build, it'll have an impact on active inventory, and that impact's going to have an impact on pricing pressure. Okay, seller activity has picked up most. Go figure. It's same exact order as the inventory. So South, West, Midwest, Northeast in that order. South, newly listed homes up 10.2%. At the bottom there, Northeast, it's only up 3%. So let's take a look at time on market. This is going to be the one that I'm watching closely for. I mean, summertime, hey, hot sheet. Don't lose track of the hot sheet over the summer. I mean, I know it's going to be, one of those, you got to take vacations. You got to do that, but we're going to be following this a lot in the summer. I want to be coming into the fall, having a real feel for how much demand is really out there. DOM is going to tell us this. Time on market was 6 days more than last May. I think this number gets bigger in the summer. This isn't a prediction business that we're in, but if I'm placing a bet, I'm going to say, hey, DOM's climbing this summer, and I want to get ahead of those conversations with sellers now. Hey, we're already seeing in May DOM grew compared to last May. Tells me June, July, August, the gap's going to get wider. It all depends on your particular, market inventory system, structure. But hey, if DOM is already showing us signs, it's going to lengthen this summer. There's more uncertainty right now than people want. Okay, the confidence levels of consumers has been all over the place. And listen, people check out in the summer. They do their vacations. I think days on market. I think the urgency to go see a home for a buyer, they've been through this the last 3-4 years. If I miss the house, by the way, another one will come up, but I'm not going to overpay right now. Buyers are picky. Deals are taking longer to close across the country because of this cautious approach buyers are taking. And DOM is going to be impacted. This is going to tell us a lot, as we look through the summer of kind of what's going on. DOM, 51 days right now, according to Realtor.com. Here's where it's ticking up the most: South and West. So South is up 6 days, West is up 5 days. Relative to pre-pandemic norms, hey, the West is taking 5 days slower to sell. So in the West and the South, you guys are already, selling homes slower than you were in pre-pandemic norms. Sellers need to understand that if you're in the West and you're in the South. Midwest, it's 9 days faster. Northeast, it's 13 days faster. Okay. Now over the summer, I think even in both those regions, there's going to be a little bit of pressure on those prices. Okay. Among the 50 largest U.S. metros, 47 saw homes linger longer than last year. Gary, sorry. Nashville up 19 days. Okay. Orlando plus 13, Miami plus 13, Columbus, Ohio plus 11. So just a little bit of a regional look there. These things can happen quickly. Nashville's been a darling for a long time, and not to say it's not a great city, it is. But there's a lot of supply to work through now, and we're just not seeing the transactions to support it. People aren't moving around as much as they were. Transactions with population and age-ready buyers. This is the lowest level we've ever seen, quite frankly. Okay. And people aren't going to budge on price. Why would they? Okay. Low interest rates, 40% owned cash, 440,000 in May of 2025, according to realtor.com. It's 0.1% year-over-year median list price. I'm sorry, this is the list price. So where are people asking? They're asking basically right at all-time highs. Listing price is just marketing. It's not the sell price, but it's the marketing price. And hey, the marketing price isn't always right, which is why price reductions are up at the highest level we've seen in the last decade. Okay, price reductions are at a high point. Talk about this on Mondays. We're higher than what we've seen, in the last decade. All right, there's your realtor.com May report. I've got charts pulled out for you and all the data and all of my personal notes for the show, all uploaded into School. So BAMX members, jump in there and grab that. Cotality, formerly CoreLogic, they've got their home price insights for June. So just kind of did a rear view mirror here on May with realtor.com. Cotality, again, rebranded now, like the site. Not sure why couldn't keep it CoreLogic. They've got their reasons. Really don't care about them. But I want to take a forward-looking view on what they think is going on here with their June report. So home price growth, currently month over month, they've got us at 0.6% up, year over year, 2%. They're forecasting out, look at this, 4.3% jump. Okay. This is the June reports reflective of March data. And they're saying, hey, March over March is going to be a 4.3% jump over the next 12 months. I think that is a more bullish approach than some of the reports we're seeing. Zillow's, kind of moved to the downside amongst others on forecasting price. They've got, March to April going up 0.8% national home price growth. So Cotality saying, hey, we expect price to be strong despite, the pressure on price through inventory. We're not seeing movement on price. In fact, we see 4.3% is a healthy number to move up on the forecast moving forward. Here's where they've got national median home price at $395. So their affordability meter says you need $87,800 to afford a median priced home across the country. 2% is the number on the U.S. home price growth we just covered, and the 4.3 on the forecast. Here we'll carve this out. I think we did in School, so you can just grab that and use that. There might be something you send to a buyer list or use in your marketing. Hey, if you're in one of these markets, pay attention. Okay, I'd be using this for sure. Email, newsletter, that type of thing. Here's the 10 hottest markets according to Cotality. Look at where they're at: Northeast, Midwest. Okay, Kokomo sounds like those golf clubs. I think that's Tacoma or something like that. Kokomo, Indiana. I'm not going to read most. Decatur wine in Illinois. Decatur, something like that. Up 12.5%, very hot. Syracuse, know that one, the Cuse. Shout out to Tom Toole. Number 3. So you've got West Virginia, you got New Haven, Connecticut, you got Jersey on the list, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. So Battle Creek, Michigan, coming into round of the top 10 hottest markets. It's all Northeast, it's all Midwest. It's where there's the lack of inventory. 10 coolest markets, who would have figured? Florida, Texas, dominating the list. Okay, Cape Coral, Punta Gorda. These are both just north of me. And I can tell you it's going to get cooler. Not the temperature, not the weather, but the market is going to get cooler up there. Inventory is increasing. Okay. And when you have high levels of inventory, downward pressure, 6.5% down, 6.2%, Cape Coral, Punta Gorda. Logan, Utah, out in the west. Other than that, you got all Texas, Florida, McAllen, Victoria, Northport, Florida, Naples, Florida. I'm sitting in Naples. Certainly can feel it here. Waco, Texas, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Eagle Pass. These are the 10 coolest markets. If I'm in one of those markets, good news for investors. Okay. You're in one of the coolest markets right now. Take advantage. Like Naples, Florida's is kind of a bubble town. Okay. I walk around Naples. I'm like, is this town real? It's like a fake town. The prices are going to come back. They got so crazy in Southwest Florida and they built so much. There is certainly going to be an adjustment period. That adjustment period is now. Here are the markets to watch. They're all Florida: Cape Coral, Lakeland, Northport, St. Petersburg, and West Palm. So these are the markets at risk of serious price declines. So watch out in those 5 markets. And this is listen, you know, if you're selling in a market like this, hey, you've been identified as a market with a high risk for pricing. So do we really want to try your aspirational pricing strategy today, or do you want to go with my number and get ahead of the risk? We don't have a crystal ball ahead of us, but we do have an analysis that says risk meter is flashing. We can get ahead of it by making sure we go out at the right price right now and not use yesterday's price. A lot of these conversations with sellers, backing it up with the data, is going to be super impactful and necessary. One thing that's necessary to get the 10-year to react in a downward fashion is going to be a softening job market. We saw some softening yesterday with some of that, and now we see it again with unemployment. Okay, week ending May 31st, unemployment initial claims was up to 247,000. I said you get a consistent trend up over 250,000. Now we've got something to talk about. We've got 2 weeks now where we're up above where we were, kind of trending around 225 on the 4-week moving average. We were at 239 last week. It was revised down from 240 to 239. We'll see what the revision comes in on this 247. But these back-to-back weeks, don't call it a comeback on unemployment, but back-to-back weeks now where it's like, interesting. Back-to-back weeks where we're moving up on unemployment. Listen, 4-week average is 235,000 on unemployment. The 2-week average, or the 4-week average rather, needs to get up over 250,000 and sustain there for there to be any real concerns about unemployment. Okay, but the soft data the last couple of weeks here tells us there's a little bit of a momentum moving in that direction. The 4-week average is 235,000. That is a historically low number. Okay. So while we're seeing the increase, and we'll take it today, right? We'll take the increase. The 10-year treasury yield has fallen a little bit. 2-year fell, 10-year fell, 30-year fell based on this jobless claim increase. Listen, you'll see it fall more if it really gets anywhere substantially. But look at the trend line. I mean, this is about as flat as it gets. This is historically low. When you consider the 4-week moving average, you're going to need more weeks stacked on top of each other, but there's something there. It's going to be probably another push from the administration to say, Powell, lower the rates. 10 years helping a little bit, 4.349. And that kind of, takes a little bit of the hotness off of where we've been. Okay. So this is a more palatable number than where we've been. We got as high as 4.6 in the last 90 days. Yesterday, the 30-year reacted favorably to yesterday's job data. We'll see what it does today if it goes even lower, but 6.87, getting back maybe to a 6 3/4 range here on the 30-year fix. We'll take it. You'll hear, I see Bill Pulte, head of HUD on Twitter, on X, saying, hey, we need these rates lowered. Powell, lower the rates. You hear it from the administration. CME Group doesn't expect that to happen. Even with today's news, it went from 99% chance that they don't lower to 96%. So probably not going to get there just based on this little bit of data, but we are starting to see, a couple weeks now of a little bit of a softening on the labor market. We'll see if that really turns into a meaningful trend and then, kind of turns into hard data. All right. noon Eastern, 2 hours from now, I'll be doing a live webinar, the exact seller scripts you need, matching it up with data in this market. You want to get listings over this. I would argue that, hey, even if inventory is high in your market, go get it. Go get the listings. When the market turns, that's going to give you the power, the advantage. Hey, there's cost to running a business, cost to acquiring a customer, acquire customers through listings, more conversations, go get those listings. And we're going to talk the strategies on exactly how to do that per 3 lead seller sources. If there's time, I'm going to give an opportunity to pick some other seller lead sources that we can pull right there on the spot. It's a live webinar open to everybody. Links down below. And so hope to see you on that noon Eastern time. Until then, of course, toodaloo.